And just like that, we have come to the final round of the home away season. For 8 teams, this will be the last stop of the road. But for another 10 teams, they still have a chance to fight for it in the wildcard and finals race. But without further ado, let's get into previewing the final round of the home and away season, round 24. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. Joining you as always is your host, Trent Diolda. Some of you might know me as Tricky. And yes, what a season we've had, but it's come to an end, the home and away season. At this end of this round, we'll see, as I mentioned, we'll see 8 teams season come to an end, and they'll start off their off season where they're going out and have some fun. But for another 10 team, they'll be fighting for more glory. So before we get into previewing all the rounds, make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on. If you're if you're listening to this via audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please make sure you hit that follow button and turn the notification bell on so you're notified whenever we drop an episode. But before we get into all the games, we know what's going on at Sydney. I'm not going to talk on it. We don't know the facts, and it's now a police matter, and it's going to the court. So there is no reason to talk on it. You can't just judge and go and say stuff because we don't know the facts. So then for that reason, I'm going to steer clear of talking about it. But what I will talk about is Josh Fraser has been announced officially as the Carlton senior coach. Now, I did make an episode where I said it has to be Josh Fraser, and finally Carlton have listened. They have listened. This turnaround of a season just couldn't go unnoticed. They went from a team that you didn't want to even watch, play, to a team you're excited to turn the TV on and watch. And now they are in wildcard. Who would have thought Carlton, the first half of the year, would be playing off after round 24 in wildcard and potentially further in final? So well done to Josh Fraser. Big round of applause for Josh Fraser as we just have a look here. Just want to make sure all the camera angles is all good here, guys. Yes, we all good. So now we can turn the laptop down here. Josh Fraser was the right candidate in my opinion. Obviously, Jamie Graham was highly scouted, and a couple of others too. Murray Davis. Was he Carlton or Western? Might have even been the both, but Jamie Graham was probably the other one that they were fighting for. Now it's just a case of waiting on who gets the Essendon job. But well done to Josh Fraser, the right call in the end, and it's on a 3+ year contract. So let's see what he can do with this list. Who do they do have plenty of talent? But without further ado, let's get into previewing all the round 24 action. All right, we kick round 24 off Thursday night at Marvel Stadium, 7:30 p.m, and it is St Kilda coming up against Gold Coast. Now, let me have a look. St Kilda's season is still alive, but a lot has to go right, and there is not enough to say about how disappointing of a season never mind. They can't even get in. So both these teams is their last game for the season. The only positive we can take out of the Gold Coast Suns is the fact that Bailey Humphrey is signed for an extra 3 years, hardly sought out by Melbourne and Hawthorn. Everyone thought he was coming back home to Victoria. But since then, at least the last 6 weeks, I think he's been very, very good, getting a little bit more midfield time, hitting the scoreboard and getting about 20 disposals a game. So that's a good get for the Gold Coast Suns. I know he's young, we still hasn't seen quite his potential. And I don't quite know how high his potential is. He's a bit of a tricky one. Like, some people compare him to the Petrarca type, but then some people compare him to maybe like the Jordan De Goey type who pops up every now and then. Similar body shape, but let me know in the comments, what do you think Bailey Humphrey's potential actually is? Because it's a hard one to read. Some games you look at him and go, geez, this guy is a showstopper in the forward line, can rip a game to shreds. In other games, he can go missing. I get it, still young in his career, but I'm struggling to see, I think he's a good player, but I'm struggling to see how high he can go, where some people have said he can go to, if that makes sense. But let me know in the comments what you think Bailey Humphrey's potential in the future is. But Marvel Stadium, St Kilda and Gold Coast Suns, obviously known as Wanganeen Malira. Max Hall just controlled the midfield last week alongside Bradley Hill. We're going St Kilda because if you guys remember, I made a deal about 6 weeks ago that I will not be tipping the Gold Coast Suns for the rest of the season. So we're going to Saints, and I'm going to go them. I'm going to put him in by 24 points, St Kilda, over the Gold Coast Suns. And Christian Petrarca, there's not enough to say about Christian Petrarca. They have lost that trade for sure, the Gold Coast Suns. The Petrarca they wanted was the Rachaka they got in the first 3 to 4 weeks before he did his injury. Ever since then, he's playing more forward, and it looks like he hasn't fitted in with the group like he would have liked to. So that's a big cross for this season. He would not have been expecting to walk into the Gold Coast side and not be playing finals. He would have been expecting to walk in and playing top 4, but his old team's doing that, and his new team isn't. So that has been a big X, and I think Melbourne have been very much the beneficial of that trade. Now, Friday night, we head out to the MCG, 7:40 p.m. is Collingwood v. the Brisbane Lions. Now, all eyes are going to be on Collingwood to see how many players they rest. Even Brisbane Lions, will they rest anyone? Because both these teams have final spots locked in. Collingwood have their wildcard spot locked in. Brisbane Lions have I want to say they got their top 4 locked in. Let's have a look. No, so they don't have their top 4 locked in. They'd have to win. So they have a top 5 locked in. I think they'll go full strength because they want to lock that top 4 spot in. They need to win. But Collingwood don't need to do anything stupid. So the big question is, do they rest Nick Dacos? I think it's a certainty that they should rest Nick Dacos. As much as a Collingwood supporter, I love seeing him play. Imagine if he goes down with an injury. I'm 50-50 whether they will, because they just love putting him out there, and it's hard to say no to Nick Dacos. But I think they should be resting the likes of Nick Dacos. As for the game, Brisbane Lions are 4 from 5, and I think they're just really starting to hum. I really liked how Collingwood came out and fought back in that third quarter last week. But I think the Brisbane Lions are just way too talented. So the likes of Will Ashcroft's having an exceptional season, Zach Bailey, then up front, Logan Morris. Does Billy Frampton get that job? And can Logan Morris run him around a bit? Obviously, he's not a smaller key, but he's not your towering key like the Billy Frampton is. I think he's about 192, 194. And I'm pretty sure when he was getting drafted, as I just pull up his profile, why he went so late was purely because they didn't know if he was going to be able to compete with the monster key defense. So yeah, only 191 centimeters, when most key forwards these days are that 194, 95 plus. But he's had an exceptional season again. So I am going to be going the Brisbane Lions, as much as it hurts me to say, over the Pies, the MCG. Then we kick it off Saturday, 1:15 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. We got Carlton and Freo. Now, this is interesting because we know Carlton pumped the Brisbane Lions at Fremantle. Fremantle have recently lost a game at the MCG. Now they come to Marvel, which they wouldn't come to very often either. And Carlton are on the high of Josh Fraser being selected as senior coach. I think it's purely going to be the battle of the midfield. So your Sarongs, your Brayshaws, your Hayden Youngs. Does Murphy Reid play, or do they just give him that extra week because he's still struggling with that groin injury? Shea Bolton. Then your Walsh, your Cripps, your Jagger Smiths. Who am I missing? Your Jagger Smiths. George Hewitt is the other one that I'm missing. So I think it's going to be the battle of that. And then you go to the answer defense. I think where Freo can get in top is I say it so often, but their 3 keys. The monsters down there, Voss, Tracy, Amos, who's had an exceptional season, ticked over 50-plus goals now. Excuse me for a second. Yeah, so ticked over 50-plus goals now, and I think that's where they can get on top. Their back one does lack a little bit. Wiedering is back there, but still building into his season. Harry Dean has had an exceptional season, but there's 3 of them down there. That's my issue I have. So who takes the third one? Is it like a Lewis Young? Is he does he come in and play? They're not throwing Brody Kemp back because Brody Kemp's been too good forward. Do they have to maybe throw Mitch McGovern back if they get on top of the game? That's going to be the type of questions Josh Fraser is going to have to fiddle with the Magnets. And for that reason, I'm going to be going with the Dockers in this one. Then at 4:15 p.m., excuse me, 4:15 p.m. at the MCG, it's Melbourne v. the Western Bulldogs. The Bulldogs fresh off a draw, and Melbourne currently sitting 5th on the ladder, trying to surge this top 4. They can still lock in top 4 if they win this week. How's their percentage looking? So they're going to have to win pretty comfortably, and then they'll have to have Brisbane and Hawthorn to lose. So that's the scenario that they're getting in to try and lock in a top 4 and a second chance spot in finals. And the Western Bulldogs, courageous effort last week against Carlton. Ed Richards absolutely turned it on. I thought he was enormous. Aaron Norton's having a what-if set. I thought Aaron Norton was really good in key moments last week, marking it was in front of goal. He really could have tore that game apart in that final term and brought it back for a Western Bulldogs win. But unfortunately, his goal kicking has just been off, as like so many forwards this season has. Your Jake Waterman, your Mitch Georgiades, just to name a few, their goal kicking has been off. But Melbourne, they're just too good. And we know Bever doesn't tag, so he's going to let Pickett run off. Sparrow's recently signed this week to a long-term deal at the club. Jack Steele's had a really good season. Max Gorn will go up against English. And then the only thing is Melbourne are without Jacob Van Rooyen for 3 weeks. So that's now and then potentially 2 finals. But they are going to try and challenge that, get that down to 2. I haven't heard any updates. I'm just going to see there's a Twitter notification here. No, so it's not that. So they're going to try and challenge that. But I think Melbourne are just too strong for the Western Bulldogs. They're just too undermanned. They're too inconsistent, the Bulldogs. So I'm going to be going with Melbourne. Saturday night, we got a double header and we kick it off at GMHBA Stadium. Oh, well, it's Geelong v Richmond. Let's be honest, Geelong win this one over Richmond. Now, it has been reported that they have, by Mitch Cleary, that they are now the front runners for the Zach Butters race. Now, hang on a second. They are, one, how are they going to afford him? They're going to have to sell him a farm or something. I know he wants to come home, Zach Butters. We know he's coming home, and that's reasonably close to his hometown in Bacchus Marsh. But imagine this midfield. Bailey Smith, Max Holmes, Zach Butters, Tom Atkins. Oh, everyone's going to be like, what is going on? Then Sean Manor running through there. So that's going to be an interesting watch. Can Geelong pull this one off? And still, I don't believe Toby Green signed at the Giants yet, so they're still in the Toby Green race as well. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But Geelong get this done quite comfortably. This could get ugly. Like I'm talking 12, 15 plus goals. Then at the Adelaide Oval, we have the Crows v the Giants. Now I'm just having a look. Can the Crows fall out? No. So the Crows have locked in wildcard weekend, but they can drop as far as 9th if the Bulldogs were to win and the Pies were to win. The Pies would have to smash. Okay. Yeah. No, so they've pretty much locked in 7th place there, and they're coming up against the Giants, who again are undermanned, fresh off a win. Adelaide Oval factor, though, Thilthorpe needs to start showing something. He really does coming into this final season. He needs to be the man. It can't be relying on Jordan Dawson, Isaac Rankin just tearing shreds from the midfield again. Thilthorpe needs to be the guy we saw in 2025 to make a difference if they want to go far in finals. So I am going to be going the Crows in this game pretty easily, purely because it's at the Adelaide Oval, but I need to see something from Riley Thilthorpe. Then on Sunday, we have 3 games and we kick it off at Marvel Stadium, 12:20 p.m. This could be a snooze fest, really. Essendon v Port Adelaide at Marvel. I'm going to be honest, I don't really care about this game, but you know what? I'm going to give the Bombers some hope. I could come back and change this if Zach Butters comes back and play, because the rumours is he wants to get to a round 24 match. But I'm going to give the Bombers some hope to get a win here. I'm actually going to get the Bombers in a shake up there. Now, 3:20 p.m. This could go one of 2 ways. It's Sydney v North Melbourne at the SCG. Now, I get it. Sydney, I do expect Sydney to win, but boy, have they had a tough week. How much of a toll can that play on them? And could North Melbourne use that to their advantage and try and take it up to them? I don't think they will, but it's going to be interesting to see what type of Sydney Swans team we come out with, and we're going to be going the Swans here. It's a bit of a snooze fest Sunday, let's be real. So we rounded out 7:20 p.m. at Optus Stadium, West Coast v Hawthorn. We're going the Hawks, but the Hawks are just going, I think, at the back end of the season. They really need to start hitting their straps. They've had obviously a draw last week and the loss the week before. But they really, I don't know what it is. They're just missing something, that the final touch. Do like Josh Ward. I've mentioned that before. But it's just, I need to see something from Dylan Moore. He's the one. He's the barometer. I need to start seeing a little bit. I think he's had a pretty average 2026 season. So Dylan Moore's the one I'm going to put as, I'm a big listener of the SEN Fireball, Kane and Kingy. I'm going to put Dylan Moore in the gun. I want to see something from Dylan Moore this week. So let's click submit and then go back and have a look what I've gone with. So Thursday night, we've gone with the Saints over the Suns by 24 points at Marvel. Friday night, I'm going against my team and going the Lions over the Pies. Saturday, I'm going Fremantle over Carlton at Marvel. Melbourne over the Bulldogs at the MCG. I'm going Geelong over Richmond by 12 to 15 plus goals. It could get really ugly at GMHBA Stadium. I'm going Adelaide over the Giants at Adelaide Oval. Then Sunday, I'm going Bombers over Port. Shout out to my Bombers fans. Going Bombers over Port at 12:20 p.m. at Marvel. Then the SCG, I'm going the Swans over the Kangaroos. Interesting to see how they come out and play. And then on Sunday night, I'm going the Hawks over the Eagles at Optus Stadium. So there you have it, guys. The final round preview of the home and away season before we get into the final series. Thank you guys for listening and watching along. If you are watching this on YouTube, please make sure you leave a like and comment on this video. Hit that subscribe button and turn notification bell on to notify whenever we upload. If you're listening to this via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you leave a like and comment on this episode. Hit that follow button, turn the notification bell on so you notify whenever we upload. Share this off to a mate, and please, guys, remember to leave a 5-star rating on the show, as it does help push the show out there to newer listeners. If you want to see all the clips from the show, all my highlights from my commentary in the Outer East Football Netball League as we're getting into final series down there as well, or just me talk absolute dribble about sport and footy in particular as getting to finals, make sure you're following us at @UpTheGuts_ on Instagram and TikTok, or you can also find us on Facebook. Just search Up The Guts in the search bar and we'll be the top one there. Thank you guys for listening and watching along, and until next time, I'll see you guys then.